It's a sad day. It's a sad day, but a happy day. So we're gonna be the last video you're gonna see me with stage on, because every time I upload a video like this, YouTube has told me that there was a copyright issue, and I was aware of this. There was gonna be a copyright issue with Miku if I had the stage on. That's kind of partially why they have the option for you to take the stage on. Obviously, my videos are not monetized, so I never really cared about it. But thinking back onto it, even if it's not monetized, even blah blah blah, or if it's eventually going to be monetized, it's probably better for me to keep the stage off for my future Miku videos. However, I had my great deal of fun with the stage on. Obviously, you're gonna get this character. Why the fuck would you not listen to Miku's amazing music, amazing singing, and the amazing background and her amazing dance moves? But what better way to finish off this amazing killing of monetization on this channel, even though it's not monetized, by being even more unmonetizable by gooning to these beautiful, lovely, respectable women, especially with Miku here, also for gooner bait. And I was just chilling here, fittingly, with his swimsuit outfit. And the thing that this team is actually, unironically, on this account that I have, optimal, because I have an A6 closer, because it's a really old whale account that I've stopped spending on. So it gets into situations like this, where sometimes in certain weeks, in certain guild bosses, that I actually do end up running teams like this, and it ends up being amazing. I just wanted to share this one because I had so much fun playing with this team. This is probably the most fun team I've ever played, the best team ever. I wish it was more viable. It does do pretty well, I would think. For older DPS, for lower awareness support, this account doesn't have as many A6s. Miku and Esmeralda are both A2 only. It's still casually being played on in a guild. Sometimes used for more relatable rotations, but I wouldn't call it like the most relatable account. And that I can really reliably have. Most of the time, the rotations I use are like this one. No one's ever gonna use, but this one was particularly funny. And I really wanted to share. Just me using Yolanga there just multiple times, and also the Yolanga highlight to break this boss's down point so that A6 Closer can do as much damage as possible. I think that Closer is the best sweeper that I have here, that's A6, and Miku works really well with her, and Miku does not work very well with Makoto at A2. Without the A6, she actually, I find, falls. It's about the same as Ange, but because she works so well with Closer, it's actually better here. Same with Moko, is actually a really good partner with Closer. Her needing the heals, her being AoE, the damage she deals during Miku is kind of relevant. It's pretty good. And also just being funny here, the defense down being really good. I think better than Twins here, because without the A6 Twins having that button giving the defense down, Moko is just better in AoE because she's able to give that AoE defense down. And same with the Marion A2 here, really important for the defense down, otherwise I just wouldn't have enough. Of course, this is talking about Moko with the A1. So without the A1, you won't have the defense down. It's definitely not near as good. I probably don't think this is the most optimal thing that is there, but I did, based on what I kind of did with Akihiko, there's a few places where I think you could have used an item instead of a skill because of how Miku works, giving you essentially infinite skill uptime. So once you've already used the skill, you don't really need to use another one. So you could just use an item on certain characters, on certain turns it might be better. I don't think it's correct to use an item on Smoko though, because Smoko does enough damage to justify her action inside of Miku. I would just like skill 3 with her, and she does like a resonance follow up, and it does like a ton of damage. Because she's A6, maybe it will probably be worse if she was not A6. But this is also a good opportunity to showcase lower awareness, or at least where I have it here, A2 on Miku and Marion, which is probably just a little bit more relatable than my other videos. I did actually originally start, believe it or not, doing like more free-to-play like A1, A0 content. But then things changed, okay? But there are a lot of really great free-to-play content creators and rotations already out there. I just wanted to fulfill the niche of being a whale. I do think that Miku and Marion particularly, without their awarenesses, do work kind of similarly, especially with them together. Combining the Mini's Ace 6, having her items last one extra turn is actually a little bit less valid than you think, because as you can see in this rotation, I'm actually able to utilize the fact that the items that Marion provides get extended during Miku's skill 3 as well, which means it's basically like having Marion's A6 at that point, right? And because sometimes you only have 1 or 2 items that are important to use, if you just have that minimum A1, which is I do think is really important, which you know you can argue if that sucks or not, because a lot of characters do really function a lot better with 1 or 2 of their awarenesses, having that quality of life or even just enhancements to their characters. It still work though at A0, and it's completely valid, and it's you can still, because at the end of the day it's just a difference between a bigger number and a smaller number on your screen. If you distance yourself from that and knowing that you literally did the best you can with what your awarenesses are, then that's really all you need. Like, what are you comparing against in this game arbitrarily, you know, because this game is, because there is that difference of just you are literally gated. If you don't spend enough money, you can't get the score. And it's unfortunate. Maybe you don't think it's a very ethical way to break this practice, but you still play the games, and I still play the games, and I still enjoy the games, and you enjoy the games. So I preach that you enjoy the game in the way that you want to enjoy it. And I'm going to put it out there to share with you, and that you can see what you can't play. And so, I mean, I think that's pretty cool, right? And so, yeah, I got a lot of comments being like, oh, how much do you spend on the A6s, or like oh my god, it's an A6 or whatever, like no skill or whatever. But yeah, of course, like you don't compare yourself to me, right? Like, I'm not saying like I'm better than you because I have those units. I'm just saying like I'm playing a different game pretty much. Like you have like it's like literally. But part of what I enjoy about this and having multiple accounts is that the ability to have an account with A6s versus not having A6s is almost like playing a completely different game. It's like playing the same game twice. So in essence, I do enjoy that, and so I hope that you enjoy being able to experience the game on the lens of having A6s. Well, you know, maybe you can't afford the A6. I love that Miku is able to provide so many unorthodox ways, utilize skills, and on top of this, enemies not having down counters, you do things like this, where you use your ult a billion times, and it's fine, it's all worth it as long as you're maximizing your damage on this Miku turn to be able to knock down this enemy. Only possible with Miku, because this with Anja we just never see happening, being able to down the boss on this particular turn here. And well, actually I do see that it could be possible, but it would definitely be a lot harder and probably a lot less optimal. But this is genuinely pretty good, perfectly knocking down there with the Earl highlight. And yeah, I think this Minami item could have been, this Minami's skill 1 could have been replaced by her using the highlight item, because Closer's gonna highlight here, and also that skill 1 doesn't really do anything except the damage. I think it's enough damage there, because this is an A2 Minami, just not gonna do that. Closer's highlight is very good. I only do use it once here, because I just couldn't find an opportunity to be able to use it, because I needed the Earl highlight or the down points. But here you will see that this Smoko S3 is probably worth it, because if you don't do a skill with Moko, you won't get a follow-up. Would have added it closer probably to do an item with this follow-up. Another cool side note to note is that you know in this game, particularly speaking of Closer, this fucking S Marion character who's shaking her ass on the screen right now at me, that there's a lot of big bottom movement in this game. You have to wonder whether Sega really has a bias to the bottom end of a female's body, and I would have to heavily disagree. But you know, beside that, you know, it's just interesting to see that there is a very high emphasis and severe focus on definitely the rear end of the female characters rather than any other end of the female character. Just a really interesting observation. Because the thing that I do want to say about that is that the thing is, like, the butt, the ass, is not exclusive to females. You know, any gender can have a nice round butt. I mean, have you seen a femboy? But one characteristic that's more uniquely considered for women is on the upper body. Still two round, big, bowl-shaped things, but yet that is getting less appreciated. So maybe we're all just gay. Because it doesn't matter what gender you identify as or what gender you're attracted to. If you're into a butt, well, everyone has a butt. So you're kind of into a thing that everyone had, which then in turn makes you, which will then make you, well, gay, because you're attracted to something that quality aligns with your own gender identity. I do like ass and it's different because what separates that that from like a boob is like what's inside the whole part of the ass, and that makes it I think even more better and more colorful. Of course, it does aesthetically still add to you as a presentation. Like if you were to accessorize yourself, actually whatever, you can have that as part of a look. Maybe it's just me who's like more attached to the idea of having tits rather than the idea of I need to have like big round butt because I don't really associate that that as much with femininity as I do with just having fat titties, which I do think is very feminine. Is something that I would really want. But I don't want like too fat titties, so like I'm pretty like like flat is justice. Maybe not like super flat. I mean, it depends. I don't. All other people, I do like flat people. For me, there may be something on like the medium scale of things. Yeah, I think that's about it for me today. It's a lot of work to try to think of things to say. It's really fun to commentate over the video rather than just doing text and just having to fill the void with just my voice. Sometimes talking about the game, but sometimes I just feel like this is rotation. I don't know if there's that much for me to talk about. Maybe there's something I miss. I'm just really into just talking. So now I'm just talking. But yeah, there's not much more to say other than I came shortly after doing this run. Onto the build section, nothing really to say about Marion's requirements for her stats are really easy to fulfill. She should not be on Trust of Prosperity. Here she doesn't actually do anything. Creation, Reconciliation is a bit more damage, but I was lazy. Victory Harmony, really good sound smoke. I don't know if people talk about it enough. And we need her playable for a lot of peers here. And yeah, to not end the video abruptly this time, thank you for watching.